Happy Friday, first grade. Today we have our virtual field trip, which is going to be a science experiment called Slime in Space. Now, this experiment is going to be a lot easier if you have a partner. I have my partner here, Mrs. Mack, joining us today. Now, whenever we do a science experiment, you friends in science who are in science club with me know that there are 5 steps to every science experiment. And the first thing we need to do is make an observation. And when we make an observation about something, we use our 5 senses to describe what we notice. Now, since we're doing this with Google Classroom, the only one of our senses that we're really going to be able to use is sight, and then for the pictures, and then if there's a video, we're going to be able to use our sight and our hearing. So on this slide, you see 2 pictures. You see one of an astronaut floating in space, and then you see another of slime. So the first thing you're going to do is make some observations about these pictures. Now again, for these pictures, the only sense you're going to be able to use is your sight. So tell your partner, your loved one that you're with, what do you notice about these pictures? So Mrs. Mack, what do you notice about the astronaut picture?
I notice that the astronaut is floating and he or she is wearing a big outfit, a big white outfit and a helmet.
Now, is the astronaut at EVCS?
No, the astronaut's not at EVCS.
Is the astronaut at the doctor's office?
Nope, not at the doctor's office.
Is the astronaut at Santino's house?
Mr. Mack, the astronaut's in space. He's floating in space. He's above Earth.
All right, so the astronaut is wearing a spacesuit and they are floating because they're in space. Those are Mrs. Mack's observations. Now, I'm looking at the slime and I'm noticing that the slime looks super slimy and gooey. Now, you may be wondering, why is the astronaut floating in space? Mrs. Mack, can you explain to us why the astronaut is floating in space and not touching the ground?
The astronaut is floating in space because of gravity. And gravity is something that when we're on Earth, it keeps our feet on the ground. But when you're in space, there is no gravity, so your body can float.
Sounds made up. All right, so apparently gravity keeps us on the ground when we're on Earth, but there's no gravity in outer space. So, Mrs. Mack, my first question is, if you are in space, will your pants fall down?
I hope not.
Astronaut's pants look like they're still on. Okay, so those are our observations. We have the astronaut. He's floating because there is very little gravity in outer space, and the slime looks super, super slimy and gooey. So we're going to take those observations and we're going to use them for the next 2 steps of the scientific method, which is to ask a question and then to make a hypothesis. And that is going to be on the next slide.